Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Zimmerman. I'm here with my first leadership interview, and I have an amazing subject with me today, my sister, Leyna Ambron. Hi, Leyna.
Hi, Jennifer. Sorry, I had to say it like that.
That's okay. Well, thanks for agreeing to do this with me today. I've been doing weekly leadership articles with people I know, and they've all followed a very traditional career path. And I was very excited that you were game to chat with me because I think you've taken a different path and a very successful path. And so I wanted to explore that a little bit with you today.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So tell me your origin story about who you are, how you came to be, and what you do now.
Well, I was born in 1980. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I started in casting when I was 19. I always knew I wanted to work in television. Well, originally I wanted to be a photographer, but I had a high school teacher that told me that, good luck with that. Super competitive and you'll never make it, and kind of vibes,
Yeah.
um, which was super discouraging as a 17-year-old kid. So I totally abandoned that dream and went to another dream, which was fine. It was a really good experience. And I worked in casting for almost 12 years before I left full time to pursue photography. And there was a little bit of overlap, but for the most part, it took me a while to kind of take that leap, but I was pretty ready to leave television for a very long time before I actually did it.
Yeah.
So,
Could you talk a little bit about how you started to dip your toe in photography while you were still working in casting? Like, what was that thought process that went through your head, and how did you take that leap?
I never stopped taking pictures. I definitely wavered a little bit, but photography was always my true love. And I think that I didn't really know what subjects were my dream subjects. And then my girlfriend had a baby, and she invited me to the hospital to meet their baby. And I brought all my cameras because that's what I do. And I was like, oh my God, look at this cute baby. And started taking pictures of the baby and her. And my friend, her husband was someone I went to high school with. And so we had a really great time, delivered the photos. And she was like, whoa, we have a lot of photographer friends, and your photos are like by far my favorite, and you have to pursue this. Like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
And I kind of needed that. I needed that encouragement because as an artist, it's a very vulnerable place to be, I think, in a from a career
Yeah.
standpoint, to put yourself out there and assume that people are going to want to pay for your vision of something. And I've never had like a lot of confidence in that. Like, I had a lot of confidence in casting because people always wanted to hire me, and I was really personable and I got really good at it. But with photography, it felt very personal and close to my heart.
Hmm.
And so it was kind of scary. She was like, you have to do this. And I was like, well, how do I'm not like the type of person to be like, hire me, I'm so good at this. So she's like, just post the photos, just share them and see what happens. And so with her blessing, I posted the photos of her baby on my Facebook and was just like, my friend had a baby. A friend of mine from elementary school, who I hadn't spoken to in bazillions of years, reached out and said, I have a 3-month old. Can I hire you to take pictures of my baby? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I didn't realize this could be the thing because I
Yeah.
never really wanted to shoot weddings or any of that, any events type things. It was very much like a more intimate experience for me to make art with my clients
Hmm.
than to like just capture an event that's happening. Not that those aren't artful,
Yeah.
because woof, wedding photographers are a whole different breed and so much respect. But how do you start that? I didn't know what to charge her. I was like, I'll do it for free. She's like, no way, I'm going to pay you something. And so it was kind of like a slow roll, but as it got going, it just kind of started. I started getting more and more clients, and people wanted to hire me. And luckily, moms talk, and it was like a built in marketing system. And I've never paid for marketing because my clients just share my info,
Yeah.
and or I get, luckily I have a very visual job, so I can share the images. And I'd say like a few months later, I was booked about 6 months out
Wow.
because I was still casting and I could only shoot on weekends, and I was casting all through the week. And I mean, I was burning the candle at both ends
Yeah.
for a while, but I just was like, "Oh, this might actually, I could maybe do this," because for years I worked in casting and I felt like I was falling out of love with it a little
Mm.
bit. And I made so many great friends, and I loved so many parts of it, but I wasn't in love with it anymore. But I didn't know how to start over
Yeah.
because the starting over part was the scary part.
What a path. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like that first person you photographed in the hospital kind of was your champion and someone who's pushing you in a direction, maybe like someone's traditional boss or someone else that they're working with. We've all had that person who's like, you're really good at this, maybe try that. And so it sounds like she was that for you.
Hmm.
So let me bring it back to, a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, and you think you've touched on that a little bit. Did you have any strategies, or how do you think you overcame that, or do you still suffer from
Oh my gosh. You're always going to suffer from
that?
that. I feel like forever. Especially, I mean, and maybe, I don't know in other fields, but I think especially as an artist, when it's coming from within, it's not like you can study like a business degree,
Yeah.
that I feel like you have more like textbook tips
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And with art, it just feels different. But from my experience, the after it's been, well, I want to say that baby that I photographed that started my business he's turning 15.
Oh my gosh,
So that's kind of a trip.
that's
And that
huge.
helps me kind of come to terms with like, oh no, I've been doing this a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this now longer than I was casting. But, and there's always going to be imposter syndrome. And I think that that's where you really have to work on building confidence within yourself and knowing your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard with the internet and with social media and all of the things because it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. Whereas, like, back in our day in the 80s or 90s, like you could still compare yourself to like magazines and those types of things. But right now, I mean, there's a bazillion photographers in Los
All in your face.
Angeles, and it's everywhere. And it's like, oh my gosh, that person is so much better than what I'm doing. But luckily, have clients that are so loyal, and I feel like they're all kind of my champions.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not vocally, but they continue to hire me. And I have families I've been shooting since their kids were
Yeah.
born, and they're now in high school. One of them just went off to college. So it's very it's humbling, but it's also a good reminder that like I've been doing this a long time, and I've studied, I've worked on myself, I've worked on my art, and I need to remind myself that that counts for something.
100%. Yeah. And you took a class recently about lighting and things. How did that come about? What made you want to take a class, and how has that inspired you or helped you or reinvigorated you?
That came about because from probably 2020 during the pandemic, I was in a deep burnout where my career in 2019 was like soaring, and it was like I felt like this energy, and it was going, and then everything kind of fell.
Stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creatively, I lost I lost it all. But my heart wasn't feeling it. It
Mm-hmm.
was like something was missing. And so for the last 5 years, I've been trying to dig myself out of this dark hole of burnout, which is easy to get into when you're like, go, 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 go. And you don't make time. Like, it was really good when I was making a lot of time to do my art and to do photos for myself and my visions. Client shoots are amazing, but it's not always my vision. it's
Right.
it's collaborative. So I have to make a lot of time to do my art too. And that feeds the whole, all of it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So, anyway, I was in this deep burnout for a long time and I continued to work, and nobody probably would have known that I was feeling this way, but I felt it. And so there's this photographer that I'd really loved for many years. Her name is Summer Murdoch, and she's just incredible with light. And I'm primarily a natural light photographer. And so I saw that she was doing this workshop and I really wanted to just try it out. And for a long time my ego got in the way. I'm like, I already know what I'm doing, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm so good at this. Like I already know. And then at a certain point, I'm like, maybe she teaches me nothing. What's the worst that could happen? I'm going to come out of it with some cool new photographer friends, maybe. I don't know. But if nothing else, it taught me that, and yes, I did learn a lot of new things. But I definitely felt like it was just a good reminder that we all are in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like, I've been burnt out too. And, this class has helped me because I connect with other photographers. And it's kind of a lonely industry as a photographer because you're primarily your own.
Your team of one.
Yeah, I'm a team of one, and I'm editing, I'm shooting, I'm doing all my clients are there, but they're only there for like 2 hours of the 10 hours that I work on their
Yeah.
session. Um, so anyway, that workshop really helped a lot, and it kind of lit my fire again.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Magic of Light, if anyone wants to look into it. But she has there's a whole bunch of different classes you can take. And then I took another class. Then I was like in my class era,
Yeah.
where I'm trying to just kind of like, what else can I learn? And
Yeah.
and if anything, after working for so long, I'm in a bit of a rut. Like I know my locations and I know my spots and I know the way that I want the light to hit my people. And she kind of pushed me out of that comfort zone, like try it like this, or maybe do a walk around and maybe try shooting in that light instead. And so it helped a lot to kind of nudge me out of my, like, I'm so good at what I do,
Right. This is how I always do it and it works. It's not broken. I don't need to fix it.
but maybe I add some cool new
Yeah.
stuff, and maybe I try new things, and maybe it doesn't work. She helped me kind of understand that, like, you might shoot nothing that you like, but at least you'll be like learning something in that,
I love that message. We can
Yeah,
always learn, right? Like we can always learn a new way, a new perspective. We can get feedback, we can get some coaching and we can take it or and try something or we can leave it if it doesn't serve us, but by opening ourselves up to different possibilities and different opportunities, you never know what magic might come of that. Love
definitely.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to come to a few little rapid fire questions
Okay.
here. What is the worst advice any boss or person that you've worked with has ever given you?
Oh my gosh, I've gotten so much bad advice, especially when I was starting my own business. The worst thing was, don't charge a lot of money because nobody cares that you have to pay your bills.
Eesh.
I get it, but I also am not gonna not ch- charge my cost of doing
Yeah.
business at the very, 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 very least.
What does leadership mean to you? Like you're a team of one, you have a business, but it's you. So when you think of the word leadership, how do you lead yourself? How do you lead your clients? Like, what does that mean to you as a concept?
Well, I think it's important. It's tricky to be a leader when you also have imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to work on those things within yourself. I mean, when I was casting, I dominated leadership because I was running multiple casting teams and I had to keep everything organized, and I wanted to be like the cool boss but also not a boss that people walked all over. So that's like it's a tightrope. Leadership is important. I think when it's now that I'm a sole my own little boss, I have to motivate myself some days. Some days I'm not in the mood to go make pretty pictures. Some days I want to go make pretty pictures and no one wants to get in front of my camera. There's like all sorts of issues. But leadership is obviously a huge part of having a successful business. In order to be a good leader, you're a constant work in progress.
Yeah. You're never done.
No, you don't turn it off.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to be able to like trailblaze.
Yeah.
You just need to, like, some people there's trailblazers out there that they never doubt themselves, and they're like, and that's actually where, like, I worked with some people in casting that were like, they'd get all the best jobs and they'd get paid the most, and they'd roll into work like 2 hours after me and roll out an hour before me, and it was always so frustrating. So you have to remind yourself that those people, they might be hot now, but if you like keep at it, I think you're going to go farther than them eventually. Or not. Maybe they're just always going to like do the bare minimum and still freaking dominate. I don't know. It's very frustrating.
It is.
But leadership is definitely important in that. And I don't know. I have a lot of theories.
Okay, here's a really out there question.
Okay.
If leadership was a sound, a color, or a feeling for you, what do you think it would be?
If leadership were a sound, it would be Charge!
I love that.
Color. It'd be red.
Ooh, say more.
I think red. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Red feels like a power color. Yeah, red for sure.
What does a good leader feel like for you?
I'd say strong but friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's possible to be both. And I aspired to be both when I was running departments. And a lot of those skills transfer over, thankfully. I'm glad I had all those years to learn how to stay organized and coordinate and communicate and all this stuff. But I definitely feel like my favorite bosses were ones that were confident, strong, but like fun.
Yeah.
Because why do anything if it's not fun?
Yeah. I had a mentor give me a piece of advice like she uses to evaluate potentially a job offer or whether she might want to stay in a current job. And she asked herself 3 questions. Am I adding value? Am I feeling valued? And the third one, which was great, am I having fun? Because it's important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And you'll work harder if you enjoy your job. So to me, it's still a huge part for my clients. I want to make sure, it's not work for me because I love kids and I love the challenge of getting like a shy kid out of their shell, or just getting to know these kiddos when I don't know them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the session, 99% of the time we're like besties, and the baby's crawling all over me and I love it and it's so much fun. But it's so much more fun when you're in an environment where you all want to work hard for the greater good and you want success and all of those things. And so I think the right leader is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be strong and to be, like one of my favorite bosses, Rob LaPlante. I still shoot for his family and it still feels like he's my boss, even though he's not my boss anymore. But we still have so much fun, and he was always just fun. He's funny. And I guess that comes with personalities as well,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a good leader is going to know how to lead their team in a fun and successful way. It doesn't have to be like a jail, or like a, unhappy place. You don't have to intimidate to get the job done,
I totally agree. I think the best bosses I've had have been ones where it's a collaboration and they listen and they challenge, but not in a bad kind of scary way, but sort of challenge you to expand your thought process or expand your perspective and maybe do things a little bit differently, but in a supportive kind of way. The ones who've come down and like, no, that's wrong, you have to do it this way, those jobs for me haven't really lasted very long, and
Yeah.
it's not been fun, and I don't feel like I'm being valued if I'm not able to do things in an approach or a way that I think might be right given my years of experience in different industries that I've worked in. So, that collaboration and that support is huge.
Yeah. I also feel like when you're hiring, you should be hiring people that you believe in
Mm-hmm.
to do the job, and then also in turn give them the freedom to do that job.
Right. You're
And
trusting them.
maybe it's not doing it exactly the way that you think it should be done. And that's hard for me sometimes with casting. I had a lot of people work for me, and it was, most of the time, if I believed in them and gave them the freedom to show me what they could do, it was delivered,
Yeah.
and it was delivered good,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask one last question. I said that before, I know, but for real, this will be the last one. Like, if you could impart any advice on people in traditional careers, non-traditional careers, just starting a career, maybe coming to the retirement of a career, what might you want them to know?
I am a believer that if you really want something and you're willing to work for it, you will make it happen. And I know that that's easier said than done because I never thought I'd be a photographer full time for a living. And this is a dream come true for sure. But it has not come without a lot of hard work and frustrating days. And even though it's my dream job, it's still work. So I would say keep your eye on the prize.
Mm-hmm.
If you're starting out, or if you really want to accomplish something, or if you really want to have a dream that you want to make happen, you're gonna get there. You just have to keep your eye on the
Yeah.
prize. I don't really know what else to say about that because I feel like I'm not an expert, even though I've successfully transferred from one career to another, and I am proud of that. Um, this is waffles. Um, but I definitely feel as though um, you need to put in the elbow grease, and it's nothing worth having comes easy.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
And as our dad said, who was an avid photographer, just one more.
just one
Or just
more.
one more.
And I do that all the time, and I always hear him in my head, and I'm just
Yes.
like, wow, I am my father.
Yes. Just like me with questions, just one more. So I don't
Yeah.
have any more questions for
Just
you.
one more.
Just
Just
one
one
more.
more.
No. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And I hope you were able to glean some nuggets of wisdom and magic from Leyna. I always admire her hard work and her ability to make that transition, because I know firsthand experience and from talking to many people in my network that, making a change is a scary thing. It's a big leap, and you've done it. So look at you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next leadership interview. I'm not sure who will be up next, but it'll be someone great, I promise. And leadership, go for it. Thank you. Bye.